Welcome to the very first episode of Reptile in the Living Room. First, I should probably explain the show title. You've probably heard the phrase elephant in the living room, right? Okay, I think a lot of us have heard that. So it's just kind of a play on words there. Reptile in the living room. Okay, so when we're talking about an elephant in the living room, that means there's this enormous thing that's in everybody's way in a small space, and it's kind of hogging up the whole space, very obvious, and nobody wants to talk about it. That's where that phrase comes from, and it's used quite frequently in the recovery world, in 12-step groups and things like that, because, when somebody's really sick and dysfunctional and we'll just use alcoholism since that seems to be so prevalent, our first legal drug, since they started making drugs illegal. They decided to leave alcohol as the legal one for a long, long time, which in my opinion is probably the most destructive. But of course, in the system we live in, we'd want to make sure that that one was left out for everybody to destroy their lives with. People just don't want to talk about the alcoholic. They walk around the alcoholic. They don't want to disturb the alcoholic. Don't poke the bear. That's kind of how that thing goes. If we don't disturb the alcoholic, then we probably won't have to deal with the alcoholic. But the bottom line is, if we choose not to talk about these things, we're still going to have to deal with them, because just by not talking about them and ignoring them does not mean that those problems aren't there. Now, I am all for not giving a bunch of energy to things that we don't want to reinforce, I suppose. That's an energetic way of dealing with things. If we kind of ignore things or don't put a lot of energy into it, we can kind of settle things down. And that does work in a lot of instances. But when you have an entire reality that's been hijacked by some really, really, really twisted beings that are hiding, for the most part, that like this silent control over people, you need to talk about them. You gotta talk about this stuff. So that's the purpose of this show, is to talk about the proverbial elephant in the living room. Only this time, it's not an elephant. God bless the elephants. They're pretty darn sweet and full of incredible emotions. Did you know they cry? They cry when their loved ones die. I mean, wow, what an incredible being, right? Well, there's these other beings that apparently just don't quite have any empathy or sympathy whatsoever. Maybe perhaps when something happens to them in their own little world, they might be sad. But when it happens to other people, they just don't care. And they have been spoken about in many ancient texts, including our Bible. And in fact, if you read Revelations, now I'm not a religious person, okay? I want you to know that right now. I do not subscribe to any organized religions. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying I don't. But if you read Revelations, you can read point blank about these slithery serpents, these things that look like dragons. They're written about quite succinctly. And they're also mentioned in ancient texts. You can see, artwork of them. You can see statues of them. They're everywhere. Once again, let's not ignore them, okay? It's not just myth. Oh, wait, I'm still working on this camera thing. It's not myth, okay? This is like reality, and we freaking need to deal with it as humanity. We need to deal with it. We have this force that has been controlling us since time began, almost, at least on this planet. And these people, okay, we're going to call them beings. And if I call them people, man, they get quotation marks. I don't think I'm not even sure they have any soul whatsoever. Let's hope maybe they do and that there's some chance for redemption. But I don't think that they have a soul, okay? Anyway, these beings need to be dealt with. How we're going to deal with them, I don't know. But from what I understand, they feed off our energy. So they feed off our fighting with one another, because that's where they really like to see us, is grr, grr, grr. You're this, you're that, I'm this, I'm that, I'm saved, you're not. That sort of mentality. They love it. They thrive off of it. And they thrive off of our sadness and our anger. And I'm not saying that emotions are necessarily bad. I mean, we have to have them, but we need to rein them in. We need to rein them in and realize that we have these powerful, powerful things called emotions. We can do amazing things with them, but we do want to try our best to stay neutral. What is neutrality? What is being neutral? Neutral is just kind of, be in middle of the road. Even when we are super happy about things, I'm not saying don't feel joy and don't feel happiness, but you know what? Just try and neutral. Try and bring it down just a skosh. If you're feeling really sad, you know what? If you have to, man, just cry and get it off your chest, but just get it done. Don't carry it around. Try and stay neutral. If you don't have to go there, if you don't have to get into this horrible state, try and just keep it down. One of the things that has really helped me, and I'll probably get into this in another show, is that if we realize that life has a tendency to unfold in a way that it's supposed to, and frequently in a way to guide us, maybe versus teaching us lessons. We can kind of look at it as guidance versus teaching us lessons. Okay, guidance. I'll teach you a lesson. Just seems like it's really harsh, right? Guidance sounds like, oh, you're helping me along. Okay, so we can always reframe things into a way that's helpful, because I believe that the universe is really here to help us grow. I mean, its intent is to help us grow, and we're here as spiritual beings to learn how to grow. If we can stay in flow, and just when life's coming at us, instead of running from it, instead of reacting to it, oh my God, just, okay, whatever it is, what can I learn from this? Is there something to learn from it? And just kind of stay into flow. We can begin to learn how to reduce our reactions to things. You probably have heard, respond rather than react. Well, unfortunately, we have this little reptilian brain. Okay, it's called reptilian brain for a reason. Back there, barking out some pretty crazy orders for us, like, react, react, react. If we could kind of tame that down a little bit by learning how to respond, by staying neutral, trying to keep our emotions level, we can help take some of the food away from these beings that really seem hell-bent, I like that term, on using us for their food and controlling us and really making our lives a wretched mess. And they don't need to be. We can actually be living in joy and in happiness and in collaboration with one another, creating incredible things. We don't have to continue life on this hamster wheel that they've told us we need to be on. And really, we need to discuss what it is, this force. It's been called evil, this evil force that drives humanity in the wrong direction. And I'm going to use the duality term here, wrong, because I think that we have a choice. I know that we have a choice. And the bottom line is, we need to make a choice. Do we want to live in peace and harmony? Do we want to make sure that everybody on this planet is taken care of? Or do we want to continue the battle? I don't know about you. I am done with the battle. I've never really liked the battle. I was born into the battle, and I'll probably get more into that later on. I had the elephant in the living room growing up, and so I'm a little more aware of what that means. And I know a lot of you are too. Believe me, I know a lot of you are too. And if you didn't have an elephant in the living room growing up, you might have had one in the office. You might have had one in the classroom. Those bullies show up everywhere in life, and in order to not be victimized by these beings anymore, or their minions, because there are plenty of minions that, run around like the little tyrants, like the little tyrannical children of these reptiles. We need to just not play the game anymore. And I believe, from everything I've studied, is that we need to learn to increase our vibration. You've probably heard that term a lot, but we really do need to increase our vibration, increase our frequency, elevate our emotions. And I'm not saying be like manic and happy and everything's peace and love. And you know what, maybe at some point in time we'll get to the point where everything is peace and love, but it clearly is not at this juncture. We will be able to, bring more peace into our planet by taking away their food. Their food is our negative emotions. Their food is our anger. I mean, it really is our anger and our sadness and our depression. When you look around, it's like, well, yeah, there's plenty of reasons to feel that way, but we have a choice. We have a choice in how we feel. We have a choice in how we react and respond. And so I'm not going to make this first video super long. I'm winging it totally. I mean, I don't have a script. I don't have an outline. I don't have anything. I don't have a set. I'm sitting here on my love seat that's, got cat scratches all over it. I'm just here to start the conversation that this world, since the beginning of time, has had an issue with these beings that, from what I understand as well, feel that this is their planet. And while it may be, somehow or another, we are here to sharing this space with them. And so I believe our job is to learn how to get along with each other and take away their food by taking away our negative emotions that they're feeding off of. Okay, I don't know what'll happen. Maybe they'll go away. I don't know. I've kind of heard that could be the case, that they just can no longer vibrate in our frequency, and they will have to go elsewhere. And I believe there's plenty of places in this universe for that type of energy to go and be somewhere else. Or I don't know, man. I'm all for learning, for educating other people and teaching them some skills as to how they may get along better with others. And you know what? There may be some of these beings that are in a place where they're ready to evolve too, just like we're in a place where we're evolving right now. And maybe, just maybe, some of these beings will be in a spot where we can assist them in growth too. And you know what? I'm all for the win-win situation. So I say we start learning how to talk about this evil force that has been on this planet since this planet got started. Maybe not quite that long, but for thousands of years, these beings have been around. Let's start talking about them with each other. We're going to have to kind of transcend religions and maybe different philosophies and things like that to discuss what this force is. I think it's tangible. I think this force is semi-tangible, that they are actual beings. There was a particular movie. about a girl and her dog in a tornado. I don't want to get into any copyright stuff here. And you know what? Ultimately, there was somebody behind a curtain that was running the show. You know, when everybody realized they had what they needed inside, and somehow or another, they had been told that they didn't have what they needed inside. When they were able to find what, you know, their good stuff inside, they were able to finally wake up and go, oh my gosh, somebody's been running the show the whole time. All we have to do is realize that, you know, we're good and complete and whole. And, you know, we look around at everybody else and we're good and complete and whole. We can all get along with each other and accomplish a task together. And we can see that, you know, we've been misguided and somebody's been telling us the whole way that, you know, we're not okay. Well, you know what? We are okay. We're all okay. Sure, we have our faults, but they could all be worked on. And we really are complete. I mean, we've got everything we need inside of us. And we just have to do the inner work to, you know, get past all that gunk and garbage that's been piled up upon us our entire life with, you're not this, you're not that, you don't look like him, you don't look like her, you don't drive that car. I mean, all this BS we've heard our entire lives that somehow or another we got to be like everybody else, right? We've got it all inside. And I believe we have everything inside of ourselves to overcome this control system that we have been living in. We are clearly in a control system. I mean, there's no doubt about that. None whatsoever. So let's talk about the reptile in the living room. Yeah, maybe on some level, it's a reflection of us. I think that, you know, people can be pretty in their personalities, pretty ugly and judgmental. Yeah, maybe they're a reflection of us. Yeah, I'll give it that. But you know what? On the whole, I think most people are incredibly good. That's been my experience in life. Most people I meet are just really good people, even strangers, you know. And so I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to buy into this. They're a complete mirror of us. I'm really not going to do that. Maybe they're here for our growth. Maybe they're here to teach us how to evolve and become better. That much I can really look into. I can consider. But the problem is we have got some bullies running this world. I mean, come on, man. We've got so many resources, so much money, so many things to take care of everybody on this planet. There's no stinking excuse for anybody going without. There's no excuse for a child not having food and water, or anybody not having food and water on this planet, or shelter. None whatsoever. So let's start talking about this, you guys. Let's start talking about this. You know, who are these beings? We can address who these beings are. I'm not afraid of them. I mean, you know, I've said forever now, they've already got our number. I mean, you know, they've already played us like the biggest group of fools. You know, their minions have taken out so many people on this planet that have tried to tell the truth. It's not even funny. So, you know, I'm not going to hide in a corner somewhere. No, not going to do it. I wouldn't do the same with a freaking abusive alcoholic either. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start talking to people about it, and I'm going to take their power away. So I'm going to suggest we all start doing this. Let's have a conversation among ourselves about who these beings are. You know, are they the beings of the Bible? Are they the beings of ancient texts? Yes, they are. Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to talk about them. We need to take away their food source. Their food source is our depression. Their food source is our anger. Their food source is our division with each other. Oh, they love division. They absolutely love it. Why don't we just all start playing nice with each other? Why don't we take care of one another? Why don't we be kind to one another? Those are things to think about, right? Let's start taking away their food source and see if we could put a dent in their little control problem. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? I think it sounds like a damn good idea. And if for nothing else, we're going to have a better time with each other because we're cool. You know, incredible beings that have lived on this planet in the past, including that really cool guy named Jesus or Yehoshua or whatever. I mean, I've heard a million different names for him. I don't care. He was just this incredibly cool being. Just came down here and gave us like super sage advice on how to get along with each other. So we've had 2,000 years to get that straight. I'm going to suggest we take good care of one another. And you know what? Instead of talking crap about somebody, perhaps saying nice things about them. And even if somebody's hurt you, how about sending them good thoughts and good energy and seeing them being really successful in life and having all of their needs met rather than thinking bad thoughts about them. Let's see how making those little changes in our day-to-day activities change the whole. We are, just a little microcosm of the macrocosm. So every change we make personally is going to affect the whole. I mean, that's just basic quantum physics. Super easy stuff. So yes, we have a problem. I believe the problem on our planet is a bunch of stinking, and I hear they smell really bad. Reptiles, okay? They need to be told that they no longer have control over us. They don't. They no longer have control over us. And I'm going to make light of it. I just am. You know what? They need to be dealt with. And if we take away their energy by taking away their food source, by getting a grip on our crappy emotions, we're going to make a change. We're going to make a big change. And if we just start loving each other on this planet and taking care of one another and treating each other the way we wish to be treated, we're going to just end this little crappy game. It's going to be done. So with that was my little ramble on the reptile in the living room. And I will be back again talking about some other things that are part of this program that we could easily break out of when we have awareness. And I think we're definitely in the Great Awakening, that we have energetics right now that are supporting our evolution on this planet. I believe we are on the brink of incredible times, and that it's going to be an attitude and a